Yo, drop that track. Hey, yo, listen, it's going down just like this. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to I'm Just Saying with NJ. Tonight's panelists are Ray Rusin, who loves media. For the past 22 years, he has worked with various companies and organizations to help make their dreams a reality. Ray also enjoys mentoring young men to show them their talents, worth, and their potential. We also have Phil John, a New York born actor who has appeared in numerous television commercials, including ads for Burger King, Church's Chicken, Intel, MVP Healthcare, Service America, and Comcast. He received honorable mention backstage for his performance in the 2010 New York International Fringe Festival, and rave reviews from New York theater critic Michael Rydell. Phil serves as a mentor to young people interested in the acting business and continues to work between New York, Los Angeles, Toronto, and Atlanta. Matthew Caldwell, a native of Hampton, Virginia, who's been in love with music for as long as he can remember. He has played for several national recording artists such as Ben Tankard, Lisa McClendon, Jonathan Dunn, Denise Williams, Chocolate, Yazara, Deetra Hicks, Mel Holder, and many others. He has also played for some of Virginia's finest artists, from Cabana Black, Ashley Felder, Alex Hope, and Free Worship, to Marquise Hicks and the Mo Band, Patrick Riddick and Divine Worship, Thomas Batts and Movement, Unconditional, and the list goes on. Josh Alvelo, better known as Innovative Twist, is a serial entrepreneur, speaker, brand expert, and commercial print and graphics expert. Located in Hampton Roads, Virginia, Joshua has had a personal conviction and mission to personally assist entrepreneurs and business owners become extremely successful by providing their business needs for their growth and expansion. He has a mission to build 1 million entrepreneurs and kidpreneurs, showing them how to build and sustain business. And our host for this evening, NJ.
Good evening, everyone. It's your host, NJ. Welcome you back to another episode of I'm Just Saying. Two bios was something. I got some people on with me tonight that make me.
She was reading those bios, and, I was like, "Who's that? Who's she talking about?"
I got some. That's
They sound real good.
They sound real good. But anyway, it's your host, NJ. I'd like to welcome you back to another episode of I'm Just Saying. Again, joining me tonight is Phil, Ray, Josh, and Matt. We are going to jump right in. Don't need to prolong the time because I got some good and interesting questions. Ladies, again, we are going to be hearing from from the men, the whole month of September. So here we go. My first question tonight is, what or who was the one thing that changed your life? I'm just saying. Anyone can answer first.
I guess I'll go first. Okay.
Go ahead, Ray. Go
We're
first.
waiting on you, Ray. We're waiting on you.
All right, that's easy. I'll be simple. I think the biggest thing that changed my life is going to sound weird, but it's true. It's failure. Failure changed my life. And here's why I say that. I think that a lot of times, whenever you set out to do something, one of the things that we always do is we see and we imagine and envision ourselves being great at it. But the one thing that defines us are the setbacks along the way that guide us to there. And you can apply failure to anywhere you want, whether that's failure in business or failure in relationships. I think that everybody up here tonight, if we're honest, we're greater not because of our biggest accomplishments, but the drive and determination we got when we fell back.
Take that. Who's next?
I think
Come
he.
on, Matt. What you got to say?
Oh man, I have to go after that answer. I'm trying to think, cause like for me, it's like There's so many things, man. I think I have to say, aside from failure, I guess honesty helped to change my life because I think a lot of times, especially as men, we're not honest with ourselves. Knowing the different things that may be wrong with us, we're not honest about it. And the thing with change is a choice. So anybody could bring to you whatever needs to be fixed in your life, but it's a choice for you to do the things that are necessary to change it. So I think that honesty of being honest with yourself, knowing you have those skeletons in your closet, doing something about them, and just trying to work on those things that you need to improve instead of ignoring it as if it doesn't exist.
Phil?
Just to piggyback off of what Ray said, I think that that's a very good answer as far as failure is concerned. I think that traditionally in America, we are taught that once you check all the boxes, you're automatically promoted to something. Like once you finish kindergarten, you automatically are promoted to the first grade. Once you finish junior high school, you're promoted to high school. Life don't always work that way. Sometimes you could check all the boxes and you still don't get promoted, So learning how to deal with the setbacks and the failures helps you to surrender. And once you're able to surrender, then that's when beautiful things happen. So I think just to expand on what Ray was talking about with the failures, I think that once you learn to accept those failures and you realize that you're no longer in control really of the outcome other than to put in the work and you're able to surrender, I think that that's when you can open yourself up and watch beautiful things happen. That's not in your control.
Josh?
I would have to say my surroundings at a young age. So if I continued on the path that my rest of my families went on, my cousins or uncles or whatever, I would have ended up probably in jail. So, it was a choice. It was, do I continue to live the lifestyle that my family's used to? Do I continue to, or do I want to be different? So for me, I had a choice to make. I joined the military 3 days after I graduated high school because if I didn't, like I said, it would have just been a whole different direction for me. But I do feel like it's hard to say what's the one thing that changed because we constantly have to change. So if that was that time, then it was, okay, I'd had a kid. And, now I have my firstborn. I'm in the Navy. What do I want to do? I don't like being out to sea. I got to go. This isn't for me anymore. So it's like there's always constant things happening to us that we have to figure out in life which way we're going to go. Every day we have a decision to make. So it's hard to just pinpoint one thing and be like, okay, well, this is it. But for me, I believe it's our surroundings and fear. And fear has a lot to do with it. And, failure. I'm going with Ray on that one. People don't understand how big failure is. Failure is huge. That determines which direction in life you're going to go.
And I think that failure also is kind of like that light bulb that lets us know that we're not in control of it. Because we've done everything we can and we've sometimes failed. We make mistakes, but we're really not in control of the outcome. And a lot of times our setbacks can be like really our launching pad.
Our setbacks are our comebacks.
Yeah, totally.
All right. So 2020 has been a interesting, unpredictable year. What is your new perspective of life since 2020 has hit?
For me, I would say taking it day by day because I'm a planner. I'm the kind of person that will if this is September, the rest of 2020 for me would already be booked. And it's frustrating for me because I have to take it day by day. So what 2020 has taught me, because we've kind of been constrained a little bit, that I have to take each day as it comes. I can't plan 3 months out, and by taking it day by day, I've learned to just kind of embrace some of the beautiful stuff. Like I actually go to the park. I can't tell you the last time I went to a park and just sat by the water, so just little things like that. I believe that 2020 has taught us to pay attention to the things that we've been taking for granted.
That's good.
I think it forced us to actually take the time to accomplish the things that we've always wanted to do, but always had excuses saying we were too busy in life to just stop for a moment and do the things that are going to change other people's lives. So in our case, printing was, that's what we do. Well, COVID hit, ain't no events. So I ain't printing nothing except for, restaurants and churches. That's it. So now I got all the time in the free world. We've been talking about our nonprofit. We're like, all right, let's just do it. So we call it our COVID baby, because if it wasn't for COVID, we probably wouldn't be as far as we are today. So it just gave us the time to focus on rebuilding relationships, spending more time with family, and then accomplishing those dreams that you've been having that you just kept pushing off.
I agree with both of them. I think that COVID did several things for me. Number one, as they said, it allowed me to first focus and rest. I think it's possible to become so busy that you don't realize it, that you're trading productivity for rest and things of that nature. The other thing it allowed me to do was to refocus. Ironically, here's the weird thing for me. COVID became amazing from a business standpoint. I went from a business standpoint, it took off, and I had to learn balance, because I think a lot of times we talk about what we'll do when success happens. Well, if you don't plan balance and family time and things of that nature in that, as Josh is saying and as Phil was saying, you'll burn out quick. The third thing for me that I think COVID did for me, and I can't take the credit, I heard Dr. Darius Daniels say this, is whatever vision or things we said in the beginning of the year we wanted to do, COVID didn't stop that. COVID just made us relook at the strategies on how we're going to get there. So let's take what Josh just said. There's a nonprofit that he's had. Well, he had that vision. COVID allowed him to relook at the strategy to making it happen. And so I would tell anybody, before you discount the year, to go back and look at, okay, what are the things you said at the beginning of the year you wanted to do? Now, what's stopping you from doing that? Because you have the time. The reality is this is the best time if you're doing anything social media related, because everybody's up here.
Yeah.
What is it that's in your heart? And realistically, are you really going to stop what you're doing because of the threat of what other people say?
Yeah.
If that's the case, you're wasting your time.
That's good.
Well, I have to go after all of that.
Matt, you better start jumping in first.
I gotta do something. I think 2020 was like a year for everybody. I think we had our moments of self-reflection, to really look at ourselves, because we had a lot of time to spend with ourselves and see like the things we've been talking about fixing for so long. But then on the flip side, we found out stuff about ourselves we didn't know was there, and like everybody was saying, you didn't have any excuse not to fix it. Because you had time. A lot of us were sitting at home for a long period of time with ample room and opportunity to get stuff done. So people that wanted to get in shape, you had time to do it. I think it showed us too, like for like people that had plans and stuff, all the days that we had time to just rest. Some people found out like, yo, I might be a really big procrastinator because I had all this time to get stuff done. I kept pushing it off. I'll do it tomorrow. Next, it's 2 weeks. So I think it was just a big time of like self-reflecting, on things that we needed to work on within ourselves and get fixed and like show more attention to. And, hopefully a lot of us did some work on fixing those things. Hopefully.
Well, I'm going to be honest. I had all the time in the world to lose weight and I didn't do it. I failed that task. But I agree with what Matt said. I think that here's the truth. There are some people who got sick that broke my heart that I heard that they got sick. Mm-hmm. There are some people who passed away that's broken my heart that they passed away. And I think that one of the things that this year has taught me above anything is not to take life for granted or moments for granted. Because the reality is we always say, here today, gone tomorrow, or here today, gone today. But I think subconsciously we always plan like there's a tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And I think this year has, if anything else, it has put the battery in my back to decide what is it that's important for me. Because it doesn't matter, to me, the biggest thing for me is my wife and kids. So if I go out and I can video edit the world, but I neglect them because I say tomorrow, I still lost.
Yeah.
So I think that 2020 becomes a place of reflection. And then I think the other thing is it teaches us to be ambidextrous, that you can't put all your eggs here. I have to learn how to do both.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of Abraham Hicks, and she talks a lot about following the path of least resistance. And 2020, I think for everyone, I think the theme is surrender. You know, surrender to to your circumstance, because there really is nothing that we could have done. We were all locked in the house at some point. So the path of least resistance allows God, the universe, to kind of do whatever it does and bring to our attention things that we've been ignoring.
And I think it's too, it showed us how much stuff we took for granted.
Yes,
Because, you know,
definitely.
being locked up in the house, nobody would have ever thought like, yo, I just want to go to the store. You know what I'm saying? we take that stuff for granted. I just go whatever. But then when you can't go anywhere, you're like, dang,
Yeah.
you know. So it showed us how much stuff we do. We take it for granted, not even knowing it sometimes. So,
But just walk into
I
the
totally
store.
agree. I totally agree. We did.
Yeah.
We took a lot of things for granted when we weren't able to do those things. We wasn't able to access those things. I think even with me, as far as my family is concerned, it made me take another look at the people, like Ray said, that's around me and who I care about, because they were here today and then hours later receiving phone calls that they're no longer here. So it was a different type of year for me, but it was definitely a learning experience that made me look at who's around me, who I care about, making sure and checking. You know, we put off things so much. I'm good for somebody coming across my mind and be like, oh, I'm gonna call them later, and then later never get here.
Yeah.
And so now is, if you come across my thoughts in my mind, I'm picking up the phone. And before I used to be like, oh, it's too late. Now I don't care what time it is. If you come across my mind, you just don't answer, and I'm gonna just leave you a message. But I'm calling and reaching out. So I think all of those answers I can agree with as far as 2020. So my next question is, name one thing you regret you did or you did not do in life. I'm just saying.
Only one?
Right, that's loaded.
Yeah, like
I feel like that's a hard question to answer, only because everything that we did led us to who we are today. So if I say I regret something, then I'm regretting who I am today. Is what I feel like, but I can't sit here and really. So I'm gonna let them speak, because I really got to think about
that
this.
though, Josh, because you know, like some people, they're like, nah, I wouldn't change nothing. Nah, there's some stuff I would. You know what I'm saying? Like, 'cause
I got to think about what I would change. Like, I love my life right now. Like, my life is so perfect for me. My wife is amazing. My kids are great. Like, I can't see me changing something in my past, because I don't know if I would have been here today. So I got to really think about what I would actually change. It's really hard for me. So I'm going to think about it while they answer.
I'm gonna go first. I think if I could go back and change one thing about, or one of the biggest things I changed, or however the question was worded, I think I would change the fact that I allowed the opinions of people and the words of people to shape so much of what I did.
Yeah.
You know, to get to where I'm at right now. I either did stuff because people said it was, you know, the right thing to do, or I didn't do stuff because they didn't approve of it, or, you know, I spent so much time trying to look for that affirmation and the confirmation of certain stuff, and that it was such a deep one in so many areas. I probably could have gotten to a lot of places quicker or in a more efficient way had I not spent so much time, you know, worrying about, you know, this person's going to like it or that person's going to like it, or, you know, whatever. Or even liking yourself based on what other people, you know, see and say and do, whatever. You know, I spent a lot of time not thinking I was handsome, and certain girls didn't think I was, you know, so what? You know what I mean? But in that moment where I was at, that mattered. And I think the issue is, like, certain stuff matters to us in life because we make it matter. We give it that attention, we give it that energy to make stuff matter, when in actuality it's really not that big of a deal. So
We care way too much.
way too much.
Yeah.
Way too much. So yeah, that's my answer.
That was
I
good,
agree.
Matt.
I went first.
I agree.
That was good.
No, I agree with him. I think for me, it's several things. I think the first thing is I regret not realizing my worth.
Yeah.
And here's what I meant. I think because of that, I can be honest enough to say that because I didn't realize what I was worth, in turn, I people pleased in some areas. But if the truth be told, I destroyed some good relationships because I didn't know my value. So whether that was girlfriends or friends or acquaintances or you name it, if I look at the systemic root, I can't put it on them. It was something wrong with me. And I think that once I was able to discover what it is that I was worth to myself, then I knew my value. Then whatever those areas were in life, I could go back and then apply that. And I'm grateful for the people in that. Here's truth that were a part of me when I didn't know my worth, who hung around to find the me now. So that's me. I don't have a list of names, although I could call some. I'll just chalk it up to me.
And Ray, that's big. What you talking about
Yes.
worth for men? Because I feel like for us, that's not like something that's really instilled in us a lot of times. You know,
Absolutely.
with girls, the people are telling them how pretty they are. You're a queen and all of this stuff. And all, for us, we have to find out our worth after we've given so much of our, like you said, in so many areas to everybody. You know what I'm saying? So once in a sense, it's like we found out our worth once the value is almost depreciated in a sense.
Wow.
And I agree. And I think a lot of it's because as men, we're taught, if we're honest, which is why I chose to answer for me, we operate with pride.
Yes, sir.
And so women have emotions, women have sensuality and sexuality. For men, we have pride. If a man is too emotional, we say something's wrong with him. If he's too sensual or sexual, we say something's wrong. We create a stigmatism. So in truth, we're taught, girls are taught, I put it this way, I heard my dad say this. Girls are taught nurturing action. So when they're young, we give them Barbie dolls. We teach them how to do that stuff. Men, we're taught to war. And so because of that, the truth is we're taught you have to go out and get it. So we're taught to suppress how we really feel because we're hunters and we got to go make it happen. Yeah. And what do you do when you're a hunter, but you're wounded?
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's why I say for me, I think that knowing your worth for me became critical. And here's transformation. That didn't come at 18. That came well into my late 30s. Married, not knowing my worth. In ministry, not. So for me, that's why I say that.
Yeah, the 30s is real it was transitional.
Wow. Come on, Phil. Let's hear from you.
I think that where did Ray go?
He be back. Following
up what he said. For me, I think that if I was to think about any regrets or things that I could take back, it's not the stumbles or the failures or anything like that. I think it's the things that I've said to people out of anger. We were just talking about how so men aren't emotional, right? We know that women are emotional, right? But I've always been a thinker. So if I wanted to get you, it would be with my words without emotion. And that could tear somebody down because I'm not getting emotional. So if I'm not emotional, I'm not. So it's what was coming out of my mouth to you to destroy you is well thought out and strategic. So a lot of times I would do that to people because of my own insecurity and how I was feeling at the time. And then I look back years later and realize, damn, I took this person out. I really destroyed them. Yeah. And within recent years, I've had to call these people up and apologize. Yeah. Even though we've never talked about it, I've had to call them up and I've had to apologize. Because what I did was intentional. But I also know that whatever I do that's intentional, I plant those seeds and those seeds will come to harvest at some point in my life. So I had to clear all that up. So as far as regrets, I regret acting in a way that was intentional, that was negative, it wasn't positive. And my intentions wasn't to help or to heal, it was to destroy. That's what I regret.
Wow.
That's heavy.
Come on here, fellas.
That's heavy.
We were all.
Josh, now you gotta come by that.
That was heavy.
I mean, everybody's statements. Like, if you think about it, our words
Yeah.
are very powerful. You know, like everyone says, we're men. We don't show emotions. Like I don't cry. When I get mad, I'm saying some nasty stuff that you're never gonna forget, and that's gonna make you look at me different. Like people don't understand how men think. Like we're not emotional creatures, you know. So I have to agree with every statement everybody said. If it was anything that I ever regretted, it was probably words that I said that I can't remember that I said, but I know I've hurt people's feelings along my path. You know, so to me, I'm gonna have to stick with that one. They killed it. Like their answers are right on point.
And that thing with words, which is so crazy. And I had to tell my kids this the other day in class. Like a lot of times when we don't realize it, when we're not meaning for them to be hurtful, you never know how people receive them.
Right.
Like you could say something to be joking, and you hit somebody in a place where they're hurt, and now you've hurt their feelings, but you didn't even mean to.
It could have been a trick from their childhood. We definitely never know anyone's situation. So any way that we speak to someone, any way that we talk, it comes back and it triggers an emotion that they buried for so long.
Yeah.
So, you know, my wife's always like, you know, you got to teach Nick to let him cry. I'm the opposite. I'm like, yo, man up, let's go. We got to go.
Yeah.
You know, but I understand it's just how I was raised and my dad was raised and everybody else, you know, but my girls is a whole different story. I don't tell them man up, you know, like, no, you know, it's okay. I gotta nurture them. Like he said.
Well, that's that saying. That saying that says like, you know, we raise our daughters, but we love our sons. So like, however the boys are, they just love them. But the girls, we teach them sit like this and do, you know, this is how you act like the lady and all that kind of stuff. But boys, we just told, you know, you hold doors, you know, don't let nobody talk about your mama. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like Ray said, we're taught to be like warriors in a sense. You know what I'm saying? But even with warriors, they still have a soft side to them. They can't be like a warrior all the time. But we're not taught that. Even as you know, like he was just saying, as a child, if a kid is walking across the street, they fall down, scratch their knee, and they're crying, we tell them, no, shh. No, like their knee is hurt. Like he's hurt. You know what I'm saying? So now you're telling him to ignore the pain. And then you start doing that from a young age. And then we grow up doing that.
But I also think the physical aspect of it, when it comes to boys, yes, I agree 100%. But I find that women, it's all mental. And it hits right around puberty where how many women do you know have you spoken to where the mothers have taught them, hey, listen, don't depend on a man. I don't care if you're living with him. Make sure that if that relationship ends, when it ends, that you're able to stand on your own 2 feet, right? Don't give up your power. So when you meet them, it's a constant fight for power.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't work.
We teaching the boys how to be tough and not to cry, but we're also teaching the women not to give up their power or control over their lives. So these two eventually will meet and have dinner.
Wow. Come on here, fellas. Woo! Gee, this is good. This is real good. Ray, you want to say something?
No, I can't. No, we're good. No.
Good. Okay, so my next question would be to you. What is the one thing you wish you could do over in life? If you had a do-over, if you was granted a do-over, what would be the one thing that you would do over?
The one thing.
If you had a do-over pass, I can do this over. What would be that one thing you would do over? That is the quietest I heard y'all be on the phone.
No, it's the thinking.
Wow.
Thinking.
You gotta think about certain questions. Like these aren't ones we could just spit off. I'm like, oh, this could be easy. I'm gonna be able to answer these, but I'm like really thinking. Like,
I think for me, that I would say the one thing that I would probably redo is college, like how I did college, because I think I spent so much time trying to be who everybody wanted me to be that I kind of lost the true nature of who I actually am. And I started becoming idea of who everybody thought I was. So in that sense, I wasted a lot of time you know, when I probably should have been practicing on my music, and I should have been studying and really applying myself, you know, I was doing everything else. I was chasing the girls because everybody else said that's what you're supposed to do. Or I'm, you know, doing this party because that's what everybody else, instead of with myself being confident enough of who I am to just be like, you know what, nah, like, you know, I don't need to be doing that. And I think, you know, society will push you to present yourself in the way everybody else may want you to see. I posted somewhere on Facebook yesterday. I said, and a lot of people didn't understand it. I said we used to post pictures, now we just post images. And in the images, we're just posting who we want everybody to see us as. Instead of when you post a picture, that's really you. But now we post an image like this is who I want you to see, who I want you to see me as. And I think for me, like in college, you know, I spent a lot of time doing that instead of just first of all loving who I really am. And the honesty with that is, you can't do something that you don't know how to do. So I mean, I think learning to love yourself is like a daily thing. So I'm still learning to do that now, you know, and I'm way past college. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, so I think that would be me. I don't want to talk too long. So yeah, that's me.
You said I'm going first because I'm not going behind these heavy hitters. Everybody throwing it on tonight.
It just fell in my mind like that. That's all. Go
ahead, Phil.
I think I don't know how this is gonna come across, but I wish I wasn't raised the way I was. If I could change how I was introduced to God, if I could change growing up in church, I wouldn't have grown up in church. If I could change that introduction to spirituality and God, I would not have, because there was a totally difference between me then and then other people who maybe not have grown up the way I did, but did this new discovery they found in like the spirituality and God. It's so fresh and new and it's different. For me, there was like a deprogramming and relearning and rediscovery of who God is. But if I could take that back, if I could take all of that madness back, I would want it to be done over. I mean, I would rather grow up in like, I don't know, a yoga compound.
What?
And then discover God along the way.
Hey, but Phil, don't that make you jealous though, man? Like you be so jealous of them. It made you so jealous. You be like, dang, like you just got this clear connection and all my stuff is all jacked up. You know?
Exactly. And I think if I could do anything over, it would be that. It would be that kind of all of that noise, all of those stuff, you know. Because I was in it up to my neck. I went to Christian school, I went to Christian camp, I went to church 7 days a week. It consumed me. And I had to come out of that and learn. I didn't find God until I left church completely. So and I was able to rediscover it like someone who had never been there before. But I do regret dealing with the BS of that.
That's real.
Yes, it is.
Respect.
Mad at it.
I'm feeling y'all like yeah, this is good.
That was a good answer. I think people needed to hear that.
Yes.
Because that is very powerful, that people who grow up in church are forced into a situation and not giving the opportunity to really know who he is.
Yeah,
it's you to want to know who he is and not forced to do it. Like if I grew up in church like you, I'd probably be the same way. I mean, we grew up in church and, you know, we had the family members who were really deep into church. I couldn't have done it. It would have drove me crazy to have to live like them. You know, like I needed to find him on my own terms, on my own understanding of him, you know, because if not, I'm just a robot. I'm just like everybody else. I feel like that's what church kids end up being. They're just, this is it. And then once they leave church, they're old enough not to have to go. They all leave.
Yep.
They're gone. And now they're going to rebel and they're going to do everything they weren't allowed to do.
Right.
And God's going to bring them back on him. But that's how God brings them back. Because now they went and did all this different stuff. And now God's like, okay, I let you have your fun now. Now, come on, let me teach you something on my terms. And he's going to bring me back. And that's how we come back in our relationships like this now.
Ray?
So here's my take. It's a little different. I think I would have said yes to God sooner. Because I think there's a difference between saying yes to God and going to church.
Good.
And I can honestly say, and here's my spirituality in this statement. I can be honest enough to admit that in my running from my calling and running from my purpose, I wasted a lot of time. And here's the truth, and I agree with what you said, Phil. There's a stark difference between getting caught up in religious dogma and really falling in love with Jesus and the plan and purpose for your life. I grew up in church, so I'm with you, Phil. Here's the truth. I learned that everybody who said hallelujah really didn't mean it because it was something to say. But at the same token, I couldn't claim salvation off of their experience. So for me, after a while, I realized that the true plan to unlocking what was for me to surrender. And here's the truth. No matter how great the days were pre-surrendering and giving myself to Christ all out, they really don't match the favor that I can say I've experienced since I've surrendered. So for me, I say I regret running so long. And here's the truth, running so long because I was insecure myself. And kind of what you said, Phil, I was insecure of what people would try to tell me what salvation had to look like.
That's good.
Totally.
Because I think for me too, like you were saying, right, the relationship aspect, I didn't know it existed. Like, you know, that whole part of, you know, God wants to be my friend. That wasn't how it was growing up. It was like, you do this, you going to hell. So like, there's no friendship in that. You know what I mean? You were pretty much walked into it through fear.
This was a one-sided thing.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I didn't know nothing about no relationship stuff till I was like well into college. I was like, relationship? What you mean? What's that? You know what I'm saying?
But I think, though, I'll be honest, I think that it becomes our responsibility now to change the dogma that we heard so that the people we talk to now, they understand that Jesus is not, that it releases this, again, I think you said it right, the stigmatism that we've put, that Jesus is our friend. Jesus does love us, and it's not this fire and brimstone like you messed up. That's what the whole New Testament is about. You know what I'm saying? It's this grace. And I think that becomes our push for all of us. And here's the great thing about it. Here, just raise opinion, raise 2 cents. I believe that Jesus is so, I said this before we were talking. I believe that if Jesus were here today, a lot of things that we equate religion to, he wouldn't understand. Yeah. I believe if Jesus was here today, he'd be in skinny jeans and a t-shirt by Innovative Twist.
You know, and I agree with that statement too. I feel like, you know, I don't like church. Church put a bad taste in our mouth. You know, I believe we're having church. This is the church I like. Anytime that we're speaking about God, this is church to me. Going to a building, cool, I understand we're supposed to get together and gather together, but to me, anytime I can bring up God and we just have a conversation, that's church. I'm able to talk freely and not feel convicted of anything. I believe the stigma is changing with the way new churches are coming and come as you are. And I don't think there was dress codes. I didn't think you had to get all dressed up just to go to church. I mean, Jesus preached in the streets. Why are we going to a building? We're going on the street. You know?
I think the one thing that changed my perspective is Bishop Carlton Pearson and his This American Life podcast. Once I heard him kind of come out, so to speak, it really changed. I think it freed me up to come back and learn more. Because I was, you know, I'm a big book reader. I love reading a lot of books, and I do a lot of self-help books, Wayne Dyer, Deepak Chopra. But it wasn't until Bishop Carlton Pearson started taking on the concept and that he did, that it really kind of really shifted, my perspective shifted.
And I think too, to tie back into all of that, you know, about a big regret is probably not realizing how human I am. You know what I'm saying? Because in church and even now with this whole cancel culture, you're not allowed to be human anymore. So you make any mistake, you're just so wrong. And I'm like, yo, I'm human. I'm supposed to make mistakes. I'm not a robot. Like, I'm gonna mess up. But I think like we didn't get a chance to understand like we're human. You know, like we're flawed. Like that's how we are. You know, so we didn't get that luxury to be able to be human or to understand how human we were.
Beautifully complicated and perfectly flawed.
Facts.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you had any advice to give to anyone that was watching about change in life and change in life, what advice would you give?
Don't be scared. Embrace it. I mean, that's all we can do is just embrace the change. It's gonna happen. If you want it to happen now or later, at the end of the day, God has a path for us, and He has a mission that we're supposed to accomplish. So whether we go off track because we want to, He's gonna slowly knock us right back. So you might as well just accept it now and keep it moving. And don't be scared. He puts people in our path to help us get where we gotta go.
Yeah.
You know, so just embrace it. Embrace change is all I would say.
I
Let it
agree.
happen. Let it happen, and don't be afraid to surrender, because you're not as in control as you think it is. But on the other side of it is where beautiful things can happen.
Wow, that's major. That's major. And I agree 100%. I think that in every season, I think that something I heard my brother teach on once that kind of rocked my world, and that is this. As you get older, what you want, what you desire, the things you think are important, they shift.
Mhm.
We all change. And I think, in echoing what Josh and what Phil said, is embracing the change and understanding that a rough season today does not constitute a rough season forever. The truth of the matter is we are getting ready to go into this fall season where the truth of the matter is now farmers are going to begin planting crops, and it's going to look like for a season nothing is happening. It really is. But if you wait long enough, something births or blossoms from that rough season. And so I would say be able to embrace it, go with it, but not while you're changing. Um, be honest enough with yourself to begin to reflect where you want to change and how you want to change.
Mhm.
So the truth is, Nisha, I should be a better friend to you today than I was a month ago.
Mhm.
And if Josh, and if our relationship or Phil or Matt, if we were to meet together 3 months from now and I've done no better for you, here's real change. Realizing maybe I'm not the one for you in your life.
Mm.
Being able to release the baggage when you have to, and understand that your purpose is not tied to people, it's tied to God.
Come on, Ray.
Yep.
It's a good one. It's true. People don't understand. Like everyone comes into our life for a season. They're either going to preach and teach to us, or we're going to preach and teach to them and help them on their way. It's just what it is. That we've been through this. I think me and my wife, we've actually learned that process. We understand that people are coming into our life for a season. So we do the best that we can to nourish, help, get them through their situation, or vice versa. We listen, we embrace, and we keep it moving, but we know they're not here forever. There are people that will be here forever, but most of the time they're not. So we can't hold on to the fact that they're not here anymore. You know, we did our job. I've helped you. You're in a better place. That's all God had me to do, because now He's putting a separation between us so that I can go and help somebody else and you can do what you got to do. So people just need to understand it's okay to really let people go.
Yeah.
People are just toxic. If you keep holding on to them too long, they become toxic and start bringing you down with them.
Family included.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
I think, Josh, a great analogy, I would
Yes.
say, Josh, to what you said is milk. Milk is amazing until it's expired, then nobody wants it.
right.
Thanks a lot, guys. For
Matt, I was trying to get you the hint to jump
it's all
in.
good.
You didn't jump in.
I'm here now. Any advice I would say about change? The biggest thing I would probably say is learning the lesson that change is a marathon and not a sprint. I think nowadays in this society of the microwave society, we want everything to happen so fast. You know, like if I want my body changed, I want to go to the gym after one workout and be like, all right, where's that? You know what I'm saying? But it takes time, you know, and I think throughout that marathon that you're running, yeah, you may not jog the whole time. You know what I'm saying? But the fact of the matter is, even if you got to walk a little bit of the way, you jog and get a little tired, you catch a cramp, you finish that. As long as you finish that marathon, that's what matters. As long as you get to the point to realize, you know what, dang, I actually did change. You know what I'm saying? And even within that change, you know, we're talking about letting people go. I heard this analogy one time, like you never see when seasons change, like Ray was saying, you never see the tree bend over to pick up the old trees that fell off of it. So the tree grows new leaves. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't change the essence of the tree. The tree now has new leaves, and it's
Come on, Matt.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I had to come behind everybody. Yeah, but yeah, that's, you know what I'm saying, that's the biggest thing, man. Like it's really a marathon, you know, and you got to take. And that's when people ask me how I'm doing. I'm like, I tell them every day. You could ask me, but I'm telling them I'm taking it one day at a time. And I think that's the biggest thing, you know, 2020 taught, just literally taking one step at a time, one day at a time. Not, you know, I heard a man say one time, he said, there's no such thing as bad days. Some days are just better than others. So changing that perspective of, you know, how I look at things and how I look at my process of changing and growing and stuff, and not being so hard on myself if I don't, you know, achieve whatever situation, you know, as long as I'm, you know, taking it one day at a time. And if I did a little bit better today than I did yesterday, you got to appreciate the baby steps, you know. So I think this is the last thing. I heard somebody say one time they were running up the steps and they tripped while they were running, and they said the lesson they got out of that was to appreciate the steps. So sometimes they're trying to run up the steps so fast you trip and fall, but you would have still got to that destination if you would have just appreciated the steps and took one step at a time. You know, so in that journey of changing, appreciate the steps. So that's it.
That was good. Oh my good. All of y'all is good, really good tonight. I mean, I'm sitting here and I'm listening to all the comments and even the questions and the responses that I had. And then I just had a quick moment because each one of you played a different place in my life personally that helped change it for the better. When I think about Josh and Innovative Twist, everybody knows that I always be like, I love Josh. But Josh took a chance on me when Josh didn't even know me. And nobody really knows the story about me and Josh. I literally was walking down the street, quick story, and saw his flyer on the ground. Okay. And I picked up his flyer, and the Lord told me that he was going to help me. I called Josh. I asked him about, can he do these flyers for me and do this? And I tell him all the stuff that I wanted to do. And I said, well, what's my turnaround time? And I'm talking to him, and he's like, I could do it. Da, 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 da. I went to his office. I met Josh. I talked to Josh for 2 hours. I literally had about 32 sticky notes in my pocketbook on what I wanted him to. I have nothing typed, nothing. I pulled out sticky notes, Ray, and I sat on his desk. Josh sat with me for 2 hours, putting my project together for me to tell him I didn't have no money to pay him. Josh was in Lynn Haven then. And everybody in his office walked out the office because they was like, yo, Josh is about to go off for her. She done wasted 2 hours of his time. And she talked about she don't got the money. I had 32 sticky notes. I talked to him for 2 hours for him to get a project together for me. And my bill was $632. For me to tell him that I did not have the money to pay him, for me to tell him that the Lord told me that he was going to help me, for Josh to look at me. He leaned up in his chair and he said, the Lord told you what? And I said,
Twist, I didn't know about that.
I said, the Lord said you was going to help me. And he didn't say nothing for a moment. And that was the longest minute I felt like ever in my life, because I was like, he's not saying anything. And he said to me, and I'm going to help you. And I started crying in his office. And he said to me, stop crying for something. I done did something. And I said, did you hear what I said? He said, I heard you. Come pick your stuff up tomorrow. And I walked out his office and got in my car, and I cried all the way home. And the next day, I came and I picked up my stuff, and I said, Josh, for you doing this for me, if I got to pay you extra, then I'll pay you extra, whatever interest for you holding that bill. He said to me, when you get it, just bring it back. And that was it. And that was the beginning of our new beginnings. I was a complete stranger. I wasn't referenced to him, nothing. He didn't know me from absolutely. He didn't even have my phone number to even call me, an address to even look at. He just took me by my word, and I walked out the office, and our relationship has never been the same. And so that's why I love him, because he took a chance on me, and he didn't have to.
Yeah.
I think if people really understood business, it's not always about the money.
Yeah.
I think it's more about the relationship that you gain along the way. Like for me, money's money, but I don't care. I own a printing company, and I don't care about print. I care about the success of your business.
Yeah.
You succeed, we all succeed. So I've come across this a lot. It's, I don't got the money, cool, no problem. We'll figure it out. I want you to succeed. I am blessed enough because I continue to do what I do. So if I can continue to bless me, I'm going to continue to bless other people. So I don't believe in the money aspect. I believe in the relationships. So we've had such a good relationship all these years, that it's paid off. I get clients and stuff just because of the stories and how we are when my family goes to events and, so I think the biggest takeaway for that story is stop worrying about the money. The money's going to come. Worry about the relationship. A relationship lasts way more than money lasts.
Yeah.
And on that note, that's how I met Ray. When I met Ray, Ray said to me the same thing. Nisha's not about money, it's about relationship. And he was another one that really impacted my life. Like I knew Ray's sister, and I knew of his brother at the time, but I didn't know them. And Ray was another one that took a chance and an opportunity for me. He did so many things. And he would say to me, did I ask you for anything? It's about our relationship. And not only did he do things for me physically, in mental states that I was in, there was so many times that he would call me and just be like, NJ, what you got going on? I ain't heard from you for a minute. You need to come out of what you in. Whatever it is, you need to get up. And I would be in a low place, and he would just call me to check on me and be like, listen, we family, we got you. And it wasn't just words, because people will say they got you and they're there for you. And it is a motive behind it.
Mm-hmm.
There's okay, she do owe me, and I'm gonna make her, and everything's, sometimes people say everything that's free is not free. And I totally disagree, because every last one of you have some way blessed my life, and it was free, and it helped free me. I mean, even when I look about Matt, there was times when we had shows and I was like, Matt, I don't even have enough money to pay you. Matt was like, whatever, Nisha, I'm out of here. Can I go? I'm tired. I'm tired. We're working out somehow. It's good. No, we good. I was like, Matt, but Nisha, we good. When I used to get upset and be ready to fuss people out, Matt used to be like, just go ahead. And Matt is always the calm one. He's just like, and so even to listen to y'all examples about anger and getting mad, I can't even see none of y'all getting mad, because that's not the part of you that I know.
Oh, it's there.
It comes out when it has to come out. I mean, it's definitely.
That's not the part that I experience, and I'm grateful. I'm grateful.
We try not to show nobody that. You know, some people just get under your skin, and unfortunately, they let it come out.
That's not the part that I know. And even Phil, and me and Phil known each other since we were teenagers. Me and Phil was in a show together. We used to do plays and shows together. And me and Phil at those moments, it's funny how those moments we weren't the closest. It wasn't until I left New York that we got closer. But because he has a great theater arts background, it's nothing that I don't ask him for. That he's like, he makes himself available for me. It's nothing that I don't ask him to do, that if he can help me, is Anisha, you got it. Like, what are we talking about here? Okay, on to the next thing. So it's each one of you that have played a great and tremendous part of my life. And I just want to tell you that I love all of you. And I am so ever grateful that God allowed y'all to be a part of my life. So
Nisha, why you gonna make this a moment at the end of the show?
I'm sorry.
But I say this.
I'm biting my jaw like
Right.
don't do it.
But I say this, Nisha. Here's truth though, and transparency. I think that realistically, for everything you have described about us, the truth is that is what you've been for us and the other people. So when you think about all of the fashion shows and all of the people who can say that they had an opportunity to walk across your stage, or they had an opportunity to be in your play, or they had an opportunity, whatever it is. And here's one thing about Nisha, y'all know this because y'all are watching, and y'all know this because we know Nisha don't do nothing that's halfway done.
Yeah.
So the truth is, and I say that because whether it's a play or whether it's a stage or whether it's a fashion show, Nisha's going to go 100% in. And so it isn't that you're being introduced to a small stage. Nisha's going to put you in front of everybody she knows. And so I think that realistically, we up here today, we represent a small microcosm of people who you've done the same thing for them. And they're doing other things. But the truth of the matter is they didn't get their chops until they sat in one of your rehearsals. Or they, and I think that ultimately that's what life is. I think life is what we've all said tonight.
Oh,
Right. Mute.
Where you on mute?
Building relationships with people. My AirPods died. I think it's building relationships with people, and through those relationships, using what you have to help empower each other. Because the truth is, my success in whatever it is, I can play and say that there are many people who had a part in that.
Yeah.
So, Nisha, what you've done for us is, even in this platform, you introduce people on a weekly basis to an opportunity to have a voice when realistically they wouldn't necessarily have one.
Yeah.
And whoever said they would, they lying, because they could go Facebook Live every day and they don't do it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
And you know what? There's never been a time when Nisha called me to ask me to help where I did not get excited about the opportunity to do it, because, I knew that I would be interacting with new people and new people who aren't familiar with the business. So anytime I could help out, I'm like, Neat, if you need me to come down and direct, I'll direct. Whatever you need. Like, it's not about the money for me, because I know that it's going to be a good time. And I know that I'm going to be working with people who are willing to learn. And you just can't call me and ask me for information. Like, I'm like, why are you calling me and asking me for information? Nisha will call me and ask me for if I'm teaching a class and I have a whole curriculum mapped out, Nisha will call me like, read me your whole curriculum. Nobody just not gonna call me and ask me craziness like that. That's not something you just give away. And she's like, I'm teaching that tomorrow.
But I think it's because we all know that the impact that it creates. We all know what Nisha's using this for, and this is how she changes the lives and saves lives, because we don't know who she's touching, but we know she's touching people.
Yeah.
So, being able to pick up the phone, you're right. Nobody does that. No one wants to share the information, but why? Share. All we're doing is helping people. You know what I mean? So I think we all do it, especially because the impact that you have, Nisha, on the kids when we do the fashion shows, the plays are they're powerful. You have people crying and now understand how to get help and see what domestic violence looks like. And so you were given the gift to reach to us, but in reality, like Ray said, you've helped us in so many ways. Entrepreneurship is a mental state. This isn't easy. So for Ray to call you and check in on you is dope because people need that. We struggle as entrepreneurship. People don't think we get depressed. Like, cool, we're successful, yeah, but you know what it took to get there? You know what we got to go through every day to stay there? We got to work. It's mentally draining. You know, there's days I'm like, yo, I'm done. Like this week, I'm like, babe, I don't know. I'm like,
Yeah.
like literally, I just wanted to cry. And I'm just like, I can't do it. There's too many people relying on me because I know the lives I need to touch. You know, I just take a minute, I breathe, we talk about it, I'm good, you know. But the fact that Ray calls you is powerful because we need that. We just need somebody to pick up the phone and be like, yo, bro, I see you. That's all I want. I see you. You're doing good. You know,
Absolutely.
that's it.
I don't have to go at the end right here this time, do it. All I can say is this, man. Nisha, I blame Nisha because Nisha got me writing songs again. I was writing songs years ago. I've been writing songs for years, and like I was working with this artist, and stuff didn't work out, and it kind of ended ugly. And I was like, "Yo, I'm done." So when I started coming on doing music for her, it was cool. We'd be doing everybody else's music, and then we got to this one place. She was like, "Matt, I need you to write something." I was like, "Write." I was like, "No, I don't do writing. No, I don't do that no more." And she's like, "No, I need you to write." So I ended up writing songs, and people come up like, "Oh my God, did you write this song?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's Nisha's fault because she made me write it." Like, so if I ever am on the stage for a Grammy years from now, or whatever, I'm like, "Yo, Nisha," because I won't write it no more. I was done with writing. I was like, "Forget it."
It ain't if, it's when you're on that stage.
Yeah.
I got you. Yep. I got you. Yep. Yes, sir.
And the Matt, this is the funny thing is I remember that. And she was like, Nisha, I'm like, yes, you do, Matt. And then I said, and I need a buff Friday.
Yep.
The infamous last minute.
Yep. It was probably all of Wednesday.
Because I need to hear it so we can have it ready for Monday for rehearsal. We don't got no time to wait.
That sounds right. That's it.
Oh, goodness.
So I'm gonna do this. I know we're out of time, and I know that the producer's getting ready to cut us off. That's fine. I want to challenge everybody up here watching, and then the people who rewatch it. Do this. Find somebody this week intentionally to impact their life.
Absolutely, Ray.
But not just that. The reality is everybody on this platform in some way, in some shape or form, don't just find someone, but call them. I think what Josh said is amazing, and check on them.
Yeah.
But the truth is, in COVID, you never know what somebody needs, and don't leave it up to chance, and don't leave it to a text. Pick up the phone and call them. That's me.
Yeah.
So, yes, I was going to say give everybody their closing remarks. So that was Ray's. Okay, Josh.
For everyone who's watching, I'm gonna agree. I'm gonna, all those lost relationships. So I've come to learn that I had to forgive to keep on going. So I got phone calls to make because some people just want bridges and I'm good. I'll just cut you off again and have a nice day. But I've learned that God tells me, okay, you can't do that. Go back, close that relationship the right way. Now you know how to deal with them and keep it moving. So anybody who has those type of relationships going on right now, let them go. Close that door by speaking to them and then closing it, not just leaving it open like nothing's wrong, because it'll stop your favor, and I've seen it happen firsthand. Like I had to let people go, I had to forgive, and I kept it moving, and then I was back to where I used to be, So that's my thing, just forgive, and then do what you gotta do. Matt, you should probably go next because we don't want
to. Mine is simple, man. Just help somebody else, okay? So this shirt that I have on, if you all can't see it, it says "Be Great, Behold," because it's Norfolk State's 85th anniversary.
Shameless plug,
right? But the gentleman who made this shirt is a current student at Norfolk State. I saw it online, and I was like, "Yo, I want to support his business." So his website is begreatornothing.com. and I think he's maybe like a freshman or sophomore. But I was like, look, I remember when I was a kid at school and the struggle was real. I saw his shirt, so I was like, I just wanted to support. So like Ray was saying, check on somebody, but do something nice for somebody at the same time too, man. So yeah, that's it.
Phil?
My advice is just continue to believe in yourself and dream big. Never give up your dreams. Keep moving forward.
Well, that's our time. It's your host, NJ. Again, I'd like to thank all my panelists for joining me tonight. Stay tuned next week, the same time. I'm just saying we'll be continuing to hear from the men this month, the month of May. And again, I'll see you next week. I'm just saying.
Hi, I'm Tiffany, the productions coordinator for the new hit show, I'm Just Saying. I hope you enjoyed tonight's episode. If you're interested in becoming a panelist for the show, please contact myself, Tiffany Buckley, or Shannon Hutchinson, and email us at njproductionsinc@gmail.com, and one of us will get back to you as soon as possible. I'm Just Saying.